What is up, everyone? Tony Picks here with another upload. For this video, it's going to be the early prelims and prelims. Basically going to be a quick 15-minute breakdown of every fight, and then at the end of my prediction of the fight, I'm going to give what I think is the best bet to place for that fight. It may not necessarily be someone winning, it may be an over-under, or even a prop bet, but I will give my prediction and my bet for every fight, and also I'm going to try to give a parlay that I think is good for the early prelims and prelims, because it's always fun playing bets before the main event because you may have extra money to bet with for the main event if you're betting live. So let's get right into it. Kicking off the early prelims, you got Katlyn Chookagian squaring off against Joanne Calderwood. Kind of a boring fight here. It's going to be very close. Both of these female fighters are stand-up fighters. Joanne Calderwood with the Muay Thai stand-up, Katlyn Chookagian, the kickboxer. Joanne Calderwood's more of a not pressure fighter, but she moves forward, whereas Katlyn Chookagian moves around a lot of useless punches that don't necessarily connect, throws a lot of volume. She's a good counter striker, but a kickboxer, throws good high kicks. I don't really see this being too much of an interesting matchup, more of just kind of like two females that don't necessarily have pop. They're not going to be looking for the takedown. Although I do think Joanne Calderwood has the better grappling and Katlyn Chookagian has the better ground game. It'll be interesting to see if Joanne Calderwood tries to kind of steal some points late in the round going for the takedown. We kind of seen that against Ariane Lipski, where she like kind of asserted the round by going for the takedown and stuff like that, and she's improved her ground game a lot, although I still don't think it's quite to the level of Katlyn Chookagian. Basically, what I think this comes down to is this is essentially a toss-up fight, but for my prediction, I think I'm going to lean towards Joanne Calderwood, and the reason I say that is because Katlyn Chookagian's content with kind of playing the counter-striking game, which I do think she's effective at, but I think that Joanne Calderwood is going to have more of the ring control. She's gonna land the harder shots, because like I said, I don't think they have popped their shots, but Joanne Calderwood does have the power advantage. I think she's gonna land the cleaner shots, and I think being the more experienced UFC fighter, not fighter, because Katlyn Chookagian has a wicked kickboxing background. Being the more experienced UFC fighter, I think she's going to be able to steal the rounds late with the takedown. So for my prediction, I'm going to give Joanne Calderwood the decision, split decision. It's going to be close. If you're looking to place a bet for this fight, and I'm going to kind of probably put a title at the bottom too, as I said, of like what to bet for this fight, it's most likely going to be the over 2.5 rounds. I'm not necessarily sure what the odds are. I'll try to look for them and place them. But for this fight, look to bet the over 2.5 rounds. I don't see any of these females getting the finish. If Katlyn Chookagian gets a finish, it may be a submission if Joanne Calderwood goes for the takedown. But I think that Joanne Calderwood's going to keep it standing, only look for the takedowns kind of late in the round. They're both content with standing, so yeah, I'm going to give the split decision to Joanne Calderwood, and the smart bet as the over 2.5. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Stewart.Lewis squaring off against Darren the Dentist Stewart. Pretty interesting matchup here. I'm trying to keep this video short, so let's break it down quick. I think Stewart.Lewis is better everywhere than Darren Stewart. I think his striking's crispier, way better wrestling. Haven't really seen his ground game. Looking at the height and the reach here, 5-inch reach advantage, which is huge. So in terms of how I think this fight's going to be played out, I think if you look at Stewart.Lewis's previous fight with Uriah Hall, that may be a good indication of how this fight's going to go. I think Stewart.Lewis is going to be able to pick apart Darren Stewart, land the bigger shots, and use his wrestling when needed to be. Basically, use his wrestling early with his takedown, get Darren Stewart tired, and just kind of edge out a unanimous decision. Win here, although Darren Stewart is dangerous late. We've seen he has some nice elbows. We've seen it against Charles Byrd and against Edmund Sebastian. Late in the third, we've seen him land some good shots, so he has power late, which kind of concerns me against Stewart.Lewis. Stewart.Lewis was cruising against Uriah Hall, and then he got caught, which realistically anyone can against Uriah Hall. I just think that for a UFC fighter making his debut like Bevon Lewis was, high expectations, getting knocked out in the third. I don't know how much that does to your confidence, but what I think that's going to do for Bevon Lewis is I think it's going to make him more of a safe fighter. I don't think he's going to look to go out and get the kill like we've seen in previous fights of his. So with that being said, I'm going to give the unanimous decision to Bevon Lewis. In terms of smart bet, I think Bevon Lewis by decision as my smartest bet to go on there. I'm not going to be betting a lot of like a big amount on it. I think what I'm going to do is include the bet amounts that I'm confident with playing on the decision. But I think that Bevon Lewis getting the decision. Darren Stewart's a tough guy to finish, and I think that Bevon Lewis will be content with picking him off at range and just landing the cleaner shots. So we're off in the next match. We got Angela Overkill Hill against Hill.Xioanan. I probably murdered that name. Angela Hill, last minute replacement. Quick breakdown for this, super quick. Stand-up fighters. Hill.Xioanan moves forward, lands the bigger shots. Angela Hill, quicker fighter, doesn't necessarily land big shots. Both of these fighters are going to look to keep the fight standing. Angela Hill gets tired after the first, man. She gasses. So I think what this is going to come down to is Hill.Xioanan basically being able to move forward, keep the heat on Angela Hill, land the cleaner shots, and edge out a decision. Also, I think that Yan does sit down on some shots, though, so it'll be interesting to see if she rocks Angela. That is a possibility because Angela Hill does get hit, especially late in the second and third. She's very flat, and Yan keeps moving forward. And if I'm messing up this girl's name, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it's Yan, though, or Yan. Anyways, Yan does sit down on those shots. She does have power to her shots, so it'll be interesting to see late if those shots get to Angela Hill. I think Angela Hill's best shot is in the first round. She may edge that one out, but I really think Hill.Xioanan is someone to watch. Not necessarily to the level of Weili Zhang from China, but I still think she's a nice prospect for the division. So with that being said, I'm going to lock in Yan via unanimous decision. And for the smart bet, I think Hill.Xioanan by unanimous decision. Although I'm not really going to place a lot on it in terms of confidence because like Yan does get hit. Like she is capable of getting hit, and Angela Hill does throw volume, even though it's not necessarily the cleanest. She does throw volume, so yeah. But we're gonna give Yan the decision and the confident bet to the I don't know what I'm saying at this point. Let's move on to the next one. Moving on to the next bout, we have Ricardo Lamas squaring off against Calvin Kattar. My video cut out, so this is going to be kind of like a split video. So yeah, if there's white and then it comes to me, it's because the video split out. But let's keep getting into it, guys. Ricardo Lamas, Calvin Kattar. I think Calvin Kattar is much cleaner on the feet, much better wrestling. Ground game, give the edge to Ricardo Lamas. Has some nasty ground and pound. What I think this comes down to is Calvin Kattar just being the crispier, cleaner striker, landing the bigger shots. Ricardo Lamas is willing to throw down, and that may be crucial for him, man. His chin's been rocked several times. We've seen him get flatlined against Josh Emmett. I think Calvin Kattar, unanimous decision here. I really do. I am confident with basically playing Calvin. My smart bet for this is going to be Calvin Kattar straight up. So with that being said, unanimous decision to Calvin Kattar, and the unanimous decision to Calvin Kattar, and the smart bet for Calvin Kattar straight up. I know there's not much information in these video, guys. I'm just trying to keep them short with my prediction and what I think is the best bet. And the part 2 of this with the main card, I'm going to do a lot more details for the Cejudo, Cerrone, and the Jessica I. Shevchenko fight. So moving on to the next bout, we got Karolina Kowalkiewicz squaring off against Alexa Grasso. Pretty interesting. A lot of YouTubers or a lot of predictions I've seen are leaning towards Karolina Kowalkiewicz, and I understand that. She's fought the bigger names. But what I think this comes down to is Alexa Grasso's had some tough matchups in the UFC, being a newcomer, and I think this is a really good matchup for her. She's got the reach in this. She has a fighter who's willing to stand up. Quick breakdown, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, more of that kickboxing, I'm going to try to get in the clinch style. Alexa Grasso, wicked boxer, and has some decent submissions off of her back, some tricky submissions off of her back. So I think if Karolina goes for that takedown, Alexa Grasso is going to be able to find a way up. So yeah, unanimous decision here to Alexa Grasso. I think she's going to piece apart Karolina. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, I don't know, man. It's weird. She started off so strong in the UFC, but I think she hasn't developed her game much. Kind of the same Muay Thai style, not much, or kickboxing style, not much head movement. I really see Alexa Grasso kind of as a showcase fight for her against a big name, kind of push Alexa Grasso into that contention, sort of top 5, top 10. So yeah, Alexa Grasso here, kind of a name to watch with the boxing. So I'm going to give the unanimous decision to Alexa Grasso. The smart bet on this for me is going to be Alexa Grasso for the unanimous decision. So that's going to be a prop bet, not just Alexa Grasso straight up. I think unanimous decision, or Alexa Grasso via decision. I don't see anyone getting the finish here, and I see Alexa Grasso really being able to piece up Karolina. Karolina has shown a solid chin, although she got knocked out against Jessica Andrade. She has taken some solid shots before, so I don't see her getting knocked out by Alexa Grasso, but I see Alexa Grasso landing the cleaner shots, and Alexa Grasso moving into boxing range, avoiding the kicking range from Karolina. Moving on to matchup between Sterling and Pedro Munhoz. Once again, I'm going to try to get through this pretty quick. Pedro Munhoz definitely that has more power in his hands, the better jiu-jitsu game. Aljo better wrestling, way better range. Let's see what the reach advantage is here. Wow, okay, 6.5 reach advantage. So guys, I think a good indication of this fight in a weird way, because you can't really compare Jimmy Rivera to Pedro Munhoz, but if you watch the Aljamain Sterling and Jimmy Rivera fight, I think that's a good indication of how this fight's going to play out. Aljamain Sterling's wicked at using that range, has some underrated ground game himself. I do think the risk that's posed here is if Aljamain Sterling finds himself in trouble and shoots for a desperation takedown, Pedro Munhoz may be able to wrap up on that neck. But I think in terms of the higher percentage here, and I'm trying to play higher percentage, confident and smarter bets for each fight. In terms of the higher percentage, I see Aljamain Sterling being able to avoid the big shots from Pedro Munhoz, mixing his kicks. He's got some wicked kicks, and really piece Pedro Munhoz up at range. Not going to get into a war. Aljo's pretty disciplined. We've seen a new sign of Aljo after he got knocked out cold against Marlon Moraes, and that'll do that for you in your first time of your career. That was Aljamain Sterling's first time getting knocked out in his career, and we've seen how he responded. So this guy's on the rise too, someone to kind of watch out, because you got to think he's fighting on the same card as Marlon Moraes. Aljamain Sterling's on kind of a little tear of his own, 3 pretty impressive wins. You know what I mean? So interesting name to watch, and I think he'll kind of have his head that, you know what I mean, if I get impressive win here, Moraes is on the card, we've already fought, possible rematch, or you know what I mean, get someone on that level. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to give the unanimous decision here to Aljamain Sterling. I think that range is going to play a huge factor, and he's going to be able to avoid the big shots from Pedro Munhoz. For a confident bet here, I'm just going to play straight up Aljamain Sterling. And like I said, the amount that I bet is basically dependent on my confidence and what the odds are at. So I'm going to try to look to see what the odds are at and include them. So yeah, hopefully that works out well. It's something new I'm trying to do. But yeah, let's move on to the last, the headliner of the prelims, Nina Ansaroff against Kattar.Suarez. Straightforward, quick breakdown. Kattar.Suarez, the much stronger fighter. Nina Ansaroff's going to want to keep this fight standing, but she's not going to be able to against a wrestler like Kattar.Suarez. She may be able to avoid an early takedown, 1 or 2, but after the first chain attempts, Kattar.Suarez is going to get the fight to the ground, and she's going to beat up Nina Ansaroff, and I think she's going to finish the fight early. I think it's going to be an early, a dominant decision by Kattar.Suarez. She's going to try to make a statement here. A bad matchup for Nina Ansaroff, which kind of sucks because I like Nina Ansaroff. Just a bad matchup for her, man. A bad matchup. She doesn't do well against pressure chain wrestlers. Although we've seen her effectively avoid some takedowns from Claudia Gadelha, but Claudia Gadelha has no stamina, and she's not near the level of Tatiana Suarez. I don't think anyone's fought someone to the level of Tatiana Suarez. We're talking Olympic female wrestling. We haven't really seen that yet in the UFC, so she's on a whole nother level. With that being said, I'm gonna give the submission victory to Tatiana Suarez. I think I can see her getting some decent ground and pound, and Nina Ansaroff turning her back and getting choked out. So with that being said, guys, my decision or my bet here is going to be Tatiana Suarez via submission, and my prediction is going to be, if I said that, sorry. Anyways, I'll probably put like some question marks and shit. Tatiana Suarez prediction, she's going to win by submission. Bet is going to be Tatiana Suarez by KO/submission on they have that on Bet365. That's a site I use, so it's KO, submission, or disqualification. So I'm going to bet that, and we'll see what the odds are. So that's it for this first video. I'm not too sure what the timing is. Hopefully it's under 15-20 minutes, nice and quick. Tune in to the main event, guys. If you guys like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of my predictions. Thanks.